All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Under the category of jumping the gun, San Diego State has given the Mountain West Conference notice that they intend to resign from the conference. San Diego State is looking to give the Mountain West a year's notice, but if San Diego State were to wait past June 30th of 2024 to exit the Mountain West, their exit fee would jump from 16.5 million to 34 million. San Diego State is also seeking to have a 1 month extension on their proposed exit from the Mountain West, given unforeseen delays involving other collegiate athletic conferences beyond our control. This is a statement from San Diego State. And to me, that simply screams of the Aztecs waiting on the impending television deal for the Pac 12. The Pac 12 has been long linked to San Diego State as the conference has been seeking a new presence in Southern California with longtime Pac 12 staples USC and UCLA set to leave for the Big Ten next year. Did San Diego State jump the gun on giving the Mountain West their notice, or do they know something that we don't know? Now, according to a source with knowledge on the matter, which was reported by ESPN.com, San Diego State does not have an offer from the Pac 12 to join, but I'm not buying that. Adding San Diego State is important to the Pac 12 in order to stay afloat, or else they run the risk of Oregon and Washington eventually joining USC and UCLA in the Big Ten. But from a legality aspect, the Pac 12 really can't come out and say that they have extended an invite to San Diego State or any other potential for, school for that matter at this time. For the most part, the Pac 12 is looking to secure its TV deal first, then set their eyes on expansion. And there's optimism within the Pac 12 that the new TV deal will keep the current members happy, as aside from fending off the Big Ten, possibly, the Pac 12 is also looking to fend off the Big 12 that is dangling that carrot right now in front of the likes of Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado. Now, adding San Diego State would once again give the Pac 12 a footprint in Southern California. And according to SportsIllustrated.com, SMU could also be in the future plans of the Pac 12, which would allow them to feed off of the Dallas television market, which would somewhat cushion the blow of losing the Los Angeles market when USC and UCLA leave. Now, on the flip side of this scenario, losing San Diego State would be a huge loss for the Mountain West, as the Aztecs have been with the conference since 1999. And you think about it, I fairly feel the Pac 12, along with the American Athletic Conference, have been the two strongest group of five conferences in college football. And of course, the American has seen its fair share of defections. Houston, Cincinnati, and UCF all leaving the American in favor of the Big 12. And now on the Mountain West side, you could potentially lose San Diego State to the Pac 12. And I know that there are some other Mountain West schools that have been rumored to be lobbying to try to get into the Pac 12 as well. And with that said, would the Pac 12 target Boise State, Fresno State, and or UNLV? And I've talked about it from before. Boise makes sense from a football aspect. Obviously, the market's not that strong compared to other markets, television wise. And then also, I'm not sure outside of football, does Boise State fit into the quote unquote Pac-12 realm of things? Fresno State, there's money in Silicon Valley. Make no mistake about it. And of course, UNLV, there's some money in the Vegas market. It's not the biggest market in the world, but there's money there. And of course, already the Pac 12 does hold its conference championship game in Las Vegas. Now, is it a slam dunk that San Diego State goes to the Pac 12? Absolutely not. And the reason why I say this, don't count out the Big 12. The Big 12, they could make a play for San Diego State. And of course, Brett Yormark, their conference commissioner, has designs on making the Big 12 a coast to coast conference. And we've seen that from the makeup of this conference right now. Of course, Texas and Oklahoma are finishing out their final year in the Big 12, but then going forward, you're going to see Cincinnati, Houston, Central Florida. You got the Texas schools, you got BYU, and of course, Yormark is out there talking to schools such as Oregon, pardon me, Colorado, and Arizona to get them to join the Big 12 conference. So, of course, Yormark possibly could be looking at San Diego State, but if that's the case, if you're the Pac-12, you definitely are going to need to hold off that charge because you don't want San Diego State being in the Big 12 because then now the Big 12 conference has a footprint in your back door as far as recruiting goes with the great state of California. And at the end of the day, this is once again all a part of the ever changing landscape of college football as the rumor of this potential move has been on the back burner for several months now. And the thing is like you look at it, change is always occurring on the collegiate last landscape, and it's going to continue to happen. And I've talked about this before because anytime you have a scenario or a situation where the money is not spread out equally, schools are always going to be looking for a bigger payday. This is why you have the quote unquote group of seven from the ACC looking for a way out right now. This is why you have a scenario with USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten. This is why you have the scenario with Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC. And it's going to continue as long as there is not equal footing. So for Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff, obviously he's been hard at work trying to get things done. He is not close to making this a done deal, first and foremost, with the Pac 12's television deal. But nonetheless, being that the Pac 12 is going to be the last Power Five conference to get their deal done, and at least obviously, first and foremost, present it to its members and see if they like it. It's a scenario where obviously they've sat back and seen what the other conferences have gotten. And, for the most part, the Big 12, the remaining members of the Big 12, once Texas and Oklahoma leave, have accepted to say, hey, we're not going to get SEC and Big Ten money. You have half of the ACC that is accepting that, but there's another half of the ACC that is not accepting that. Right now, for the Pac 12, they're trying to keep up with the Joneses. And in this case, the Joneses are the Big 12. They know that they're not going to be able to keep up money wise with the Big Ten and SEC once USC and UCLA leave. But I'll also say this, it's basically been put out there that, the Big 12 is targeting Arizona and Colorado. And Colorado and Arizona, for starters, of course, Utah and Arizona State are in that mix as well. They're open for business and they're willing to talk to the Big 12 to see what's out there. But at the same time, they're telling the Pac 12, hey, you know what? You need to get your act together in order to keep us. And this is the pressure is on Klyakoff and his team as far as, what, we need to secure a deal to keep everyone happy. Obviously, bringing in San Diego State is going to help with the media market. Also, adding SMU is going to allow them to bump things up as well. And then on top of that, you know what? It's not a West Coast thing, if you will, as far as Colorado Um, staying in the conference and not having some like another team close to them. Obviously, their closest neighbor in the conference is Utah. You got the Arizona schools, and then you would also have an SMU right there as well. But nonetheless, I think this is going to be a step in the right direction for the Pac-12 if this gets done, because the Pac-12 more than ever needs to be united. They're saying all of the things publicly that you'd want to hear, but at the end of the day, it does not matter until the ink dries and you hear them say, you know what, we have a deal. So I look at it like this. I do feel, and I felt like this several months ago, that SMU, a part of me, San Diego State, their most likely landing spot is the Pac-12, and I still feel that the Pac-12 is a favorite to get San Diego State to join, especially with the statement as far as like the length of waiting for this deal. That screams of the Pac-12 right there. I think SMU will be right behind them, and honestly, it would not surprise me to see the Pac-12 maybe go after a couple of more Mountain West schools. It's unfortunate, but it's a dog eat dog world, and it's the underbelly of it, if you will. And of course, you know, the Mountain West schools, they don't carry the tradition or the money behind them like UCLA and USC do. But if the Pac-12 is trying to stay afloat, then they've got to do whatever they can do in order to keep up with the other Power Five schools. So it's still not done. Let's see how long it takes to get this TV deal done if you're the Pac-12. But San Diego State basically putting out there and saying, you know what, we're ready to get out of the Mountain West and explore other options. That is a big factor. Some people will overlook it. I'm not. And I think that is a big domino that just fell on the college football scene. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.